ShotLink truck, there's one of these at every single event, and basically inside this truck is how we score PGA Tour events. There's a lot of things going on inside and outside. It's kind of a command center for what we do, but anytime you're getting scores from anywhere in the country, they start their journey inside this truck. So how we do it is we have volunteers. A set of volunteers are with every group, so one walking score goes with every group, and then we also have lasers out in the fairways. We have two different styles of lasers. We have a fairway laser, and we also have a green side laser. So with these pieces of equipment, we capture every shot, every round, every player, every day that we score an event. So today's Thursday here at BMW. We just got started, so we're out there in the field and everything's starting to happen. So how we do that is walking score uses this device, a Wi-Fi handheld device. They run a program on this device, and they tell us when the player strikes the ball. So they select the name when he strikes the ball, they hit shot hit, and that time stamps that player's ball. So we know that Tiger Woods teed off at 12:35 and 37 seconds. The next piece of information that gets looked for is that ball lands in the fairway, and that fairway laser operator uses the laser that we give him, points it at the ball, shoots the laser. Information comes to a symbol that they have, that they select the player, and then shoot the ball for that player, and it gives us distance from where the ball was to where the ball is on the face of the earth. So those two data points is how we create all the information that you see on TV, the internet, any website that you're looking at. Basically comes from those very simple points of information. So basically this is the handheld that the walking score uses, running a program designed for what we do out in the field. Actually, when she goes to score, or he goes to score, it'll say the players' names here. When we log it in, it'll pull the information for that group. So now what she'll do is she'll tell us when the group is on the tee, and what that'll do is actually trigger a scoreboard out there. If there is a scoreboard on that hole, it'll pop up headshots of the players in that group saying this group is on the tee. She then selects this player's name if he's about to hit his shot, selects shot hit when he strikes the ball. So he hits the tee shot, shot hit, and now new shot. That would in turn trigger the scoreboard to say, okay, I know that there's a tee shot out there. Now I'm going to wait for data to be displayed, so I'm going to wait for the laser shot to come in, and if there's a scoreboard on that hole, it's going to display that he just hit it 280 yards and he's in the fairway. So now when she selects the player's name again, the from location is missing. So this is how we generate stats. So she's going to go from, and using these options, she's going to tell us, okay, if she selects fairway, then we know that's a fairway hit. If she were to select rough, we know that's a fairway missed. So in the background, while she is doing this, she's actually creating the stats for us. Control room, basically we have 3 people that are in there all day long. So from the first tee shot to the last putt, there's always our staff monitoring the channels and monitoring the data that's coming in and going out. So in the back of the control room, we'll have a person that's watching the walking scores and sort of what we call sort of bat and cleanup. If the 2 people up front get a little busy, he's handling some of their stuff to take the load off of them. You have 9 holes being watched, so let's say a front 9 laser channel is being listened to and watched, and he's helping all the people in that channel. And then we have another operator watching the other 9 holes, so a front 9, back 9, and a walking score. And all they're doing all day long is watching kind of data come in and go out. The beauty of ShotLink really is that as long as information matches up, it happens automatically. So when that walking score is put in from locations and putting in the shots and everything's flowing in and flowing out. So now we're in the brains of the control room, separate room. This is actually one of our first projects with CDW, was the changing out of the transforming the existing server rack that we have with this server rack that we now have. Before we went with CDW and had this done, we had basically just an open rack and had an AC pipe just blowing down on the servers. So obviously not the best way to do it, but it's what we had. CDW was able to provide this rack to us, custom fitted. It's all AC, self-contained. What happens back here is there's usually a technician back here. He's watching all the scoreboards out on the golf course. You can see that right now that's actually what a scoreboard on the course is running. So we were always checking, making sure we got things going out. And that's actually a ball that just came in to that green that's about to be displayed on one of the LED boards out in the field. These are basically a monitoring program that's showing us all the boards are connected. They're all running different programs, but the scoreboard's at the heart of the Wi-Fi mesh. So every scoreboard out there has panel antennas set up on it that kind of construct the majority of the Wi-Fi mesh that we set up. We also can supplement that with our greenside towers, putting panel antennas up on the tower. So what we're basically doing is creating loop around the golf course. So when that walking scorer walks down the fairway, that she's looking at that panel antenna, that device is talking to that antenna, and as it moves to the next hole, it picks up another device. If not, there's a scoreboard in the area that we can kind of talk to for a little while as we go through the golf course. So all the devices in the field are battery powered and connect to the mesh. 18 green at the BMW Championship. This is one of our greenside laser setups. So you'll see that we're in a tower, greens down below us. At this point, if we were operating this greenside laser, we would select the player that we want to shoot for. Then we take this laser, focus it in on the ball, and even though this looks, very complicated and high tech, the only button that we have the volunteer use is the register button. So again, when we were talking earlier, we said that the very intimidating piece of equipment and a lot of information coming in and going on the screen, but we really just asked the volunteer to hit REG, wait for the data to come over to the symbol, and then touch enter on the symbol. So from that process, we get all the data from how far the shot is to the hole, how far it traveled from the tee, and what will happen is when this operator takes a shot of the ball, the scoreboard right there will display the player and how far he has from the hole. And during different points in the round, depending on what the board's running and what's going on, it will also show a ball chart of how all the balls on this hole have landed, where they've landed, and what the score is in relation to that player. This is a fairway laser setup. You'll see that it's set up on a tripod, more mobile than a greenside laser. Reason being, if a player was to ask us to move this laser, we would just pick it up and move it out of the way, put it back where it's supposed to be, recalibrate it, and we could continue shooting. So we're inside the ropes, but we're sort of, in a way, in play. With this laser, you can see that it's called a Laser Atlanta, made by Laser Atlanta. But this laser basically works the same as a radar gun. So when the operator pulls the trigger in, you'll see data back here on the LCD screen, but also, you probably can't see it, but also you'll see a set of red crosshairs that come up in the viewfinder, actually a heads-up display. And what they're going to do is they're going to put those crosshairs on the ball. So where the ball meets the ground, they'll put the crosshairs, and then they'll release the trigger, and that's when this laser takes its shot. So after a couple seconds after releasing the trigger, data will populate on the symbol, and they'll select, or data will populate, make sure it's correct, they'll touch enter, and that's how this process works in the fairway. Our backup to the ShotLink system, and it is also part of the system, but if anything were to malfunction with the laser where they couldn't take a shot, or things just weren't working out right, they could also use what we do, supply them a map that's specific to their location, and on this map they could choose a coordinate of where the ball is, and you can see that on this map the balls are 5-yard squares. So if something were to go wrong with the laser, they're also going to, as a backup, take a grid coordinate. So they could say M19 is the grid coordinate, and they can either punch that into the system on the symbol, or they can hold it on this sheet. They'll write it down as a coordinate, so that if we in the truck have any questions, we'll call out and say, hey, can you give us a grid coordinate for Patrick Harrington's shot? And they'll tell us, M17 or whatever the coordinate was that they put down for that. So we never miss a shot. Obviously, we'd rather have lasers shooting golf balls, but if something were to malfunction, we still can get a grid coordinate in, and the system keeps running.